All right, so you've mastered if-else statements, and you even know how to make things happen when you press keys on your keyboard. Awesome. Today we're going to take all those skills to the next level. We're going a deep dive into custom properties in code. It's kind of like adding superpowers to the things you create in your programs.
Yeah, think of it like giving your game character special abilities, or even setting up secret rules that control how your entire game works.
Ooh, I like that. So we've got two main types of custom properties to look at here. Custom shape properties, and then custom app properties.
Yeah.
The source material, it walks us through some really cool examples, like a game where a player's energy changes with every click, and another one where you can draw circles in different colors just by pressing keys.
Right. What's really fascinating about this is that custom properties, they let you store extra information about things in your code, beyond just their basic appearance.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. So say you're building a game with a character, and let's just say it's represented by a circle. With a custom shape property, you could attach a hidden value to that circle, like energy, for example.
Right.
So it's like a secret stat that only the code knows about.
Exactly. It doesn't change the way the circle looks at all,
Right.
but it gives your code a way to track and modify that energy value.
So for example, each time the player clicks the mouse, you could increase the energy value. And then once it reaches a certain level, bam, the circle changes color. And it shows that the player is powered up.
Precisely. It's like adding a hidden power meter to your character. This is how you make your games more dynamic and responsive to what the player's doing.
That's so much cooler than just having a circle that stays the same color the whole time. It makes the game feel so much more alive.
Absolutely. And this example from the source material, it actually uses player.energy to store that energy value. It's kind of like giving your player circle a little hidden pocket. And that's where it keeps track of its energy level.
Okay, that makes it a lot easier to visualize. So the circle looks the same, but it's got this secret data attached to it. Now, what about custom app properties? How are those different?
Well, think of custom app properties as global settings that affect your whole program, kind of like when you change the theme on your phone.
So instead of being attached to a single shape, it's applied to everything.
Exactly. In the colored circles example from our source material, they use app.color to decide what color new circles should be when they're drawn.
And this color changes depending on which key you press.
Yeah.
Right, like G for gold, C for crimson. It's like having a color palette at your fingertips.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And what's interesting here is that app.color can exist even before any circles are drawn.
So even before you have any shapes on the screen at all, you've already decided what color they'll be once you start drawing them. That's pretty neat.
It is. And this highlights a key difference between shape properties and app properties. Shape properties are tied to specific objects, while app properties affect the entire environment of your program.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. Custom shape properties are like giving individual characters their special abilities. And custom app properties are kind of like setting up the rules of the whole game world.
You got it. And just like in a game, if you don't set up those rules carefully, things can get a little unpredictable.
Ooh, this sounds like those checkpoint challenges from the source material. Things are about to get interesting.
So the source material, it throws us a couple of kind of curveballs here to really test our understanding of custom app properties.
Yeah, I remember these. The checkpoint challenges, they always kind of make my brain do a double take.
Right. So the first one asks, what happens if we take that app.color property and instead of setting it to a color, we set it to none?
And so instead of saying, app.color equals gold, we're saying app.color equals none. Hey, that's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, you're right. It's like saying, okay, program, from now on, all new circles should have the color nothing, which in the world of computers, it just doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, because you can't draw something with no color. It's like trying to paint a picture with an invisible brush.
Exactly. And the source material, it tells us that, yeah, if you do this, it's going to cause the app to crash when you try to draw a circle. Like the program just hits a wall and stops.
Okay, that makes sense. What if you just, forget to define app.color at all? What if that line of code is just missing from the program?
That's where things get a little more interesting. The app doesn't crash, but it acts kind of lost.
Lost? What do you mean?
Well, remember how we said that variables, they need to have a starting value? If you don't give app.color a value at the beginning, it's like an empty container.
So when the program tries to use that container, it's just wait, there's nothing in here.
Right. And in this case, that means no circles are going to be drawn. until you press one of the keys that sets app.color to an actual color.
So it's not that the program, like, breaks. It's just kind of in this weird state of limbo until you give it a valid color to work with.
Yeah, I like that limbo. That's a great way to put it. These challenges really show how important it is to pay attention to those little details when you're coding.
Yeah, it's not just about, like, writing the code. It's about making sure it all makes sense,
Yeah.
and understanding how everything fits together.
Exactly. And these ideas, like setting initial values for your variables and making sure you're using the right types of values, super important if you want your programs to actually work the way you planned.
Okay, so we've seen how we could use these custom properties to make more interactive programs and programs that are more dynamic. But how could we use this knowledge to, like, build something? What if we wanted to build, like, a simple game with a scorekeeping system? How would we do that?
That's a great question. And it ties in really well with everything we've learned about custom properties.
Okay, so would we use a shape property or an app property to keep track of the score?
That kind of depends on how you want to do it. Let's say you want to like display the score on the screen as part of the background.
Okay, so it's not attached to a specific object or anything. It's just part of the overall game environment.
Exactly. For something like that, a custom app property would be a good fit. You could create something like app.score and set it to 0 at the very beginning of the game.
And then every time the player, does something to earn points, like hitting a target or maybe collecting a coin, you could update that app.score value.
Right. And because it's an app property, you can get to it and change it from anywhere in your code.
So you could have, like, different parts of your game all working together to update that score.
Yeah.
Like the part that checks for collisions or the part that handles events.
Exactly. Okay, now what if you wanted to have multiple players in the game and each of them has their own separate score?
Ooh, okay. Now that's a little more challenging, I think.
Yeah, maybe for something like that, using custom shape properties would be a better way to go.
Oh, okay. Because you could, like, attach a score property to each player's object, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So let's say you had 2 players, and each player is represented by a circle. You could give each one of those circles its own player.score property.
That way, each player's score is tied to their specific object, and then you could update them separately.
Exactly. It's like giving each player their own little scorecard to carry around.
So depending on how your game is set up and what you want to do with the score, you can choose which type of property makes the most sense. That's really cool.
It is. And this is just, one example.
Yeah. The source material, it gives us the tools, but now it's up to us to actually, like, use our imagination and creativity to build something awesome. This has been, like, a really fun deep dive. We started with this idea of custom properties being like secret stats for our game characters or like hidden settings.
Yeah, and we saw how you can really use them to make your code way better, create objects that are more dynamic and even build things like a scorekeeping system for a game.
Yeah. I feel like we've, like, unlocked a whole new level of possibilities for coding. But is there anything else we can do with custom properties?
Yeah.
Like beyond what's in this source material? I'm curious.
Totally. The main thing is to understand the concept. Once you've got that, you can really apply it to all sorts of creative things in your code. Like, think about how you could use these custom properties to make your animations look smoother, or to make those interactions between different objects more complex.
Ooh, that's a cool idea. Like, what if we could make one object's color change based on how far away it is from another object?
Exactly. Or, let's say you're building a platformer game. You could use custom properties to, like, track if a platform is moving or how fast it's moving. You could even control which direction it's going.
That would make the game way more fun and challenging for sure. This is making me want to open up my code editor and try some stuff out.
That's the spirit. The best way to learn to code is to just do it. Don't be scared to just play around with custom properties and see what cool things you can make.
So if we had to boil it all down, what's, like, the most important thing to remember about custom properties?
I'd say the biggest takeaway here is that they give you a lot more control over your code. Instead of just using, like, the basic properties that every object has, you can add your own information and use that information to make your programs do all sorts of things. You can make them more interactive, you can make them more dynamic, and you can really make them unique.
Yeah. It's like we've been handed this secret toolbox, and now we can use all these new tools to build anything we can dream up.
I like that. Exactly. So go out there and try stuff out, have fun, and make something awesome.
You never know. Maybe the next big hit game or app, it'll be powered by your amazing skills with custom properties.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Happy coding, everybody!